What's going on, Soul Tribe? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and bringing that little nugget to add to the Soul Tribe archive. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the North Node in Taurus in the south, or in the 12th house. Now, when you talk about the North Node, you tend to also it's related with the South Node as well. They're always opposite one another. Where the South Node is where you've been, it's familiar territory. The North Node is where you're going towards. The North Node is also known as the Dragon's Head. So this is where we're looking to in the future. It's uncharted territory, a new area of growth that you're going towards. And it may not always be the most comfortable area to go towards, but it is one that is going to lead to this. You think of it as ascension of the dragon in a sense. So just something to keep in mind of there. Also, you may come across too that the North Node has also been referred to as Rahu as well. Then we get into Taurus. Taurus is ruled by the lovely Venus, and their modality is fixed in nature. So there is this tenacity, this perseverance, this tenaciousness and stability that comes with the fixed energies. Whenever they set their minds on something, they're going to see that through. And then when we talk about the the earth energy deals with this material planes. It can deal with the body and just things in this realm. So the earth signs are able to function in this realm very effectively. They're able to visualize and know how to work, and how to create and mold things in this realm. And then their gender is feminine. So there's a receptivity that comes with Taurus. And I just think with that receptive nature is that once they're able to visualize what they're building, they can hold that. When they hold that image, then they're going to be able to see it through. I feel Taurus has the capability, combining all of that with Venus, there has the really just great creative abilities, and has the ability to create things of long lasting beauty, and just sustainable beauty. And then we get into the 12th house. This is a lovely house. I have the sun and south node there, so I'm familiar with this house. But the 12th house was known in traditional astrology as the house of bad spirit. This is the house where Saturn rejoices. Interesting, right? But it was known for the house, or the topics that it would cover are misfortunes, sorrows, toils, tribulations, isolations, kind of great suffering. It can be about imprisonment, enemies. And so when you combine all of these energies together, one thing that you want to consider is looking to see where Venus is at, and see how Venus is. Is she witnessing this sign, and where are this topics of this house are flowing to? So that would be one thing to pay attention to. But when you combine this stuff, now I want to preface again, as someone who has their sun and south node conjunct there, this is not meaning that you're destined for misfortune and things along those lines. But this is wondering, I feel like, how do you deal with things when you have energies of depression, when you're going through some, like, really just kind of just the tough times in life. And I feel with Taurus, I would say one thing to consider is looking to different therapies, whether that be maybe you get into, maybe I would feel like maybe working with clay would be something really cool to kind of play around with. If you When you find yourself, making a room for yourself to process these emotions. And remember that Taurus energy is something that's receptive, and that it's not going to be even just like you are going to be dealing with misfortunes, but the people around you too. Even if you don't have 12th house placements, everyone goes through planets will transit through your 12th house at some point in time. And so I find with considering where your south node would be, maybe you're one who people look to as far as like who's always grounded, who's always has themselves together. But it's just like, what do you do when you've taken on all of those energies? How do you move that? Because one thing I could see this as, if we're not being mindful, is operating in a place where you're always creating stuff for others, and it's just like you have no time for yourself. And that's why I feel like that 12th house, that isolation, is something that's very important for the 12th house. You need to be able to do something to to be able to sit with that and to understand that. And there are things that people can help you with and some things that you have to work through yourself. And so I would say even get maybe some kind of art therapies would be great. Getting out in nature, finding yourself a sacred place even, and maybe you have your favorite bench in the park, or maybe you have a certain tree by the woods and you just like go and put your head against it and just kind of have that, just something where you can just channel that energy, where you can kind of feel things moving. I feel the earth signs do very well when they're interacting in this realm. So those would be some things that I would do when you find yourself, because one thing I could see this coming up as is that you could end up getting stuck with that fixed energy and almost creating your own kind of prison. Because when that 12th house, when we're talking about enemies, that doesn't necessarily have to be like actual people. That can be those internal voices that are coming in and trying to be intrusive and to try to bring you down, that bad spirit. But what I've learned with working with the 12th house is that when I feel those sort of things starting to creep in, whether that be any sort of like impulses as far as like wanting to like relapse, or any sort of like cravings or things like that, I've learned to turn that bad spirit into an ally, because then it becomes less of a like something that's running you unconsciously. And when you get familiar with that, then it's like a, hey, something's up. You're feeling these things. What's off in your environment? Have you been giving too much of yourself? Have you been taking too much on? Have you been just, because again, Venus will attract a lot of things. And so, and then Taurus will hold that stuff. So that's something that I would definitely pay attention to when we're dealing with these things. And if you find that maybe you have been one that's experienced kind of, let's say, like just like loss, for example, or something like along those lines, maybe even building some sort of like, let's say this is like a family member or something along those lines, like maybe even building something to remember them by, having something where you can remember, maybe creating like a sort of altar, or for like a little memorial place for them, so that you can visit those things and remember that, and surround them with the things that they loved, so that they can bring you back to the state of things. Because again, we all go through these aspects in life, but I find the 12th house can help you. It's considered the toughest house in the astrology, but that's because it's going to make you the toughest, and it's going to you become very wise with that, and it can bring about a new sense of wisdom. And one thing that I find that would definitely help when we're talking with like 12th house, 6th house, 8th house things, this was a book that really helped me kind of like as far as like affirmations and things. I found this one was very helpful. The complete works of Florence Shinn. That's really fantastic. Or even there's the name of the book, or the author of the book is escaping me, but like learning different ways of like grieving. That was the oh goodness, I'll look it up and see if I can find that. But finding again with Taurus, investing in different like material things to help you move through this stuff, to help you give tools to process this. Or maybe even you may find yourself needing to visit like maybe like a therapist, or maybe some sort of like something along those lines to kind of help process these things. But again, once you get grounded in that, then you become this kind of rock. But I feel like try not to be the one that people just always lean on. So again, and keep in mind, I'm speaking very generally when I'm talking about this. You definitely need the rest of the chart to work with this. And down in the description box below, I have a list of services that I offer. I need to include one for a natal chart analysis, so I'll get on that here. But if that's something that you're wanting to work with me more personally, I have a list of all my services down in the description box below. But also, if you happen to have this placement, leave a comment if anything resonated. How have you been working with this placement? Do you find that, or have you been maybe doing some sort of like art therapy, or getting out in nature, going for hikes? Maybe you need to go do like take a sabbatical somewhere and go off in the mountains and just kind of go be with yourself. How have you been working with these energies? So even anything I feel to kind of help us kind of process through these kind of tougher times, or when we get in those kind of tougher parts of the chart. So And then also too, something to kind of help you move through these emotions as well. If you want to work with like working with the moon, could be another one. Come over to my other channel, the Charity and Friends. I have a link down there for you as well. So until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep raising that consciousness and that vibration through the roof. And I will catch you on the next one later.